Hey everyone, good afternoon. Happy Monday, or whenever you're watching this. I wanted to do a video today of a story, not my story, but an inspirational story that I heard recently. And it really serves as a reminder to be thankful and to be grateful for what we have. And even through the turbulent times, there's a reason and a lesson to be learned. So there was a king, and the king had a consort who was always with him. He had his chief, what do you call them? Minister. It was like his chief minister who was always with him wherever he went. He was always giving him advice and guiding him, and the minister and him were very close. Then one day, the minister was tending to the king, and his sword that he carried with him accidentally fell, and it cut off the toe of the king. He cut off the toe of the king. So here's the minister like, oh, well, okay. I cut off the toe of the king. And the king then looked at him and got very angry and demanded that he be put in jail. And the bishop, the minister, was like, okay, it's for the good. It's okay. That's fine. So the king is furious. He's missing his toe. He had to put his person in prison. So the man goes months and months in prison. Month goes by, 2 months goes by, he's in prison. The king is out doing his kingly stuff, and then one day he decides to go on a hunt. And he goes out and he's hunting, and he goes too far off of the path to where he no longer knows where he's at. The surroundings are not familiar at all. And he comes upon another tribe of people who did not know who he was, king or not. And they took him and they held him captive. And they took him and they brought him to his camp and they encaged him for a while. And then they started prepping. They started getting these dinners ready. They started getting out their customary garb. They got the king out of his little cell. And they cleaned him up, they got him ready, they put him in clean clothes, they fed him, and they were getting ready to sacrifice him. They were taking the king in to fatten him up and sacrifice him to their god as an appeasement, okay? Because they felt that if they sacrificed a perfect person to their god, that they would be atoned for their sins and, whatever. So here they are getting him ready for the sacrifice. And then the head man in charge over there says, wait, we cannot sacrifice this man to the gods. The gods would not be okay with this. No. And they're like, why? Why can't we sacrifice him to the gods? He looks like the perfect sacrifice. And they looked down at his foot because the king was pointing at the king's foot. Look, he's missing a toe. One of his toes is gone. He's imperfect. His body is imperfect. We can't sacrifice him because if we sacrifice an imperfect person to the gods are not going to be happy with us. They're going to be quite angry. So they ended up letting him go. And the king was like, oh my gosh, thank you, God, thank you. So he immediately goes back to his camp and he demands that his consort be released from the prison that he had been in for months. And he goes to the man and he lets him out of prison, and the man still says the same thing about that when he cut off his toe, it was for the good, and me being in prison is for the good. And then the king looked at this man in amazement and was like, how did this benefit you? I see that me having my toe cut off accidentally by you saved my life. I didn't see it at the time, but what was coming down the line was worse. But I was saved because of what happened. But how are you, sir, still okay with everything that's going on and with you being imprisoned all these months? I took that away from you, for which he apologized. And the man looked at him and said, "It was for the good, sir. Think about it. You and I were always together. I'm the king's consort. We go everywhere together. Had I been with you the day that you were abducted, I would have been that sacrifice, because I have all of my limbs. I have everything about me. I am a complete man. So I would have been the sacrifice to the gods. So by you having me placed in this jail cell temporarily, you actually were saving my life. Because if I was with you, I would be dead right now, not standing here beside you another day to talk about it." And the king was amazed, because he's seen what he was saying, and oftentimes that's how it is with life. We go through situations, we have turbulence and strife and struggle, and we sit here and say, "Why me, God? Why me? Why?" And then it turns out that it was actually for a very, very good cause. It may have been something that saved your life. Just because you go through hard times doesn't mean you're not loved. You are probably spared from something much, much worse, because your life is worth so much more. I got my two words there a little bit confused. My apologies. I got distracted. That's common with me, distractions. I'm working on that. But oftentimes those things that seem like they're not beneficial could be used to teach you good lessons. Just like the Bible. What is the Bible? Basic instructions before leaving earth. Because Revelations is real. Karma is real. What you put out, you'll get back. So this is us repaying our karmic debt here on Earth School, which is a blessing. It's a blessing to have turbulent times, because we are shedding the bad karma that we have earned up ourselves over time. Because everything comes back, cause and effect. Everything, good and bad. So what we're going through here is just a cleansing. It's not the end, it's a beginning. So what are you going to do with your beginnings? What are you going to do today? I love you guys. Have a good one. Take care.